Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got a special guest joining us from Hut 8 Mining to answer some questions related to their proposed merger with US Bitcoin. This is massive news, one of the biggest mergers in the Bitcoin or crypto mining space, and we've got exclusive coverage today. So buckle up you guys, we're gonna get right into it, but before we do, please take a second, hit the like button. It's a big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of Hut 8, what you thought about this big merger announcement, and how you think they stack up moving forward compared to some of their peers in this space. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we've got a special guest. I think you're back for your third time, Sue. Always a great pleasure having you on the channel, but this time we wanted to ask some specific questions about the big merger proposal with US Bitcoin from Hut 8 Mining. So Sue Ennis, she's the VP of Corporate Development of Hut 8, and we're gonna be answering some viewer questions today. So Sue, thanks so much for being here with us.
Hey guys, so happy to be back here chatting on your channel, and yeah, let's get into it. Lots of exciting stuff going on.
Definitely. Now I know we've covered this quite a bit on the channel, but for those of us who maybe are unfamiliar with Hut 8 or their core operations, can you give us just a quick background, Sue, on yourself and what Hut 8 Mining is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hut 8, we're one of the oldest and largest Bitcoin miners in North America. We also play in the traditional data center space. In January of 2022, we bought 5 traditional data centers. We also have one of the highest amounts of self-mined Bitcoin on our balance sheet of any publicly traded company. And yeah, we recently announced that we're proposing a merger of equals with a company called US Bitcoin Corp south of the border out of the US, and we're incredibly excited about it, and so we're going to get into it today.
Awesome. Yeah, there's been a ton of chatter on the forums about this. It's a big merger in the Bitcoin or crypto mining space, so we'll get right into that. Can you talk to us a little bit about this announcement and what it's going to mean for Hut 8 Mining going forward?
Yeah, so if this merger does move forward, this will mean that Hut 8, the combined new Hut company, will have 825 megawatts of energy under management, which is great. This will really catapult Hut's diversification strategy moving forward. So we're going to have multiple lines of fiat-based and ancillary lines of revenue. This also maintains our commitment to advancing high-performance computing from our traditional data center business. This creates a strengthened, proven, and trusted leadership team and an incredible board of directors with a track record of value creation. This is going to grow our pipeline of opportunities. We're now south of the border, which means, hypothetically speaking, if this gets approved, we're going to be south of the border, which means there's an opportunity for us to be included in some meaningful indexes that we haven't been able to be included in because we weren't U.S. domiciled. This enhances our position in one of the world's highest potential Bitcoin mining regions. It also advances our commitment to driving improvements across all of our ESG metrics because we're increasing our percentage of renewable power if this, in a post-merger world. We've also got an incredible amount of energy expertise and hedging capabilities that comes with this deal, which is a very big deal. When energy is one of the number one inputs to your business, being able to be strategic, to hedge, to effectively arbitrage electrons in a strategic way is what this deal brings for us and our shareholders as well. So we're incredibly excited about it, and we certainly hope it happens.
For sure, yeah, it's an amazing deal. There's a lot going on, a lot of synergies. As a shareholder of Hut 8 Mining, this is one that I'm really looking forward to. And I know, Sue, last time you were on, you kind of hinted at some potential M&A or inorganic growth, and obviously this has now come to fruition or proposed to be. So US Bitcoin is a privately held company from my understanding. Can you give us any information into their operations, their financials? I know you talk about the power capacity or the number of megawatts, but do you have any detail on like their current hash rate, their current Bitcoin per month, anything like that you can share with the viewers?
Yeah, so I'm a little limited as to what I can talk about right now, guys, on video. And as soon as I can disclose more information, I certainly will. I can tell you though that our S4 was filed
Okay.
on Tuesday morning. You can find it on Edgar under Hut 8 Corp. And that has the preliminary financials and some of our rationale behind the thinking of this merger. The financials are only the audited financials of US Bitcoin Corp as at September 30th, 2022. So as we continue our process of closing this merger, and that includes just additional filings and conversations with the SEC, you will see those more materials become available. But I do urge your listeners, go on Edgar, see the filings there. I can certainly tell you that the three prongs of US Bitcoin Corp's business are hosting, managed infrastructure operations, and also self-mining. So the managed infrastructure operations is very interesting because it's effectively like someone owns a site, but then they hand the keys to US Bitcoin Corp to manage the site, repairs, potentially acquire customers. But there's also a layer, a software layer that is included in this MIO operations called that's a purpose-built platform.
Okay.
A purpose-built platform that effectively helps arbitrage electrons. So it looks at it's effectively like a software layer that can sit on top of infrastructure that says, okay, power is at this particular price. Should I have this miner mining a Bitcoin, or should I have this miner selling power back to the grid? And so it helps you get more effective, efficient with how you arbitrage electrons and effectively, manage your business. So those are the three pieces of their business that we're really excited about, are very unique in terms of what this post combination means for shareholders and the amount of opportunity we have. And yeah, so that's the most that I can talk about it. But I urge people, go on Edgar, Hut 8 Corp, and you should find more of the filings. They're also available on our website.
Okay, sounds good. I was going to mention, I'll leave a link to the Hut 8 website here. You got a pretty good deck put together, a presentation specifically about the merger. So I was in there last night taking a look, and it has some pretty good points laid out. And as we start to get into the share structure and share consolidation a little bit later in today's video, I'll leave a link to that visual as well. But Sue, I know we've talked about kind of that diversified revenue strategy as a differentiator for Hut in the past, and it sounds like this is just an extension of that, or kind of taking that to the next level. Now, one of the big questions, and this came up in my mind as well, in the press release, it talks about selling some Bitcoin to kind of finance the merger and some of the events leading up to it. I know we've talked about the HODL, or hold on for dear life strategy, before, and yourself saying you're very steadfast on that, obviously now deviating a little bit. Can you tell us why you decided now is the right time to sell some Bitcoin? How many are you selling, and how long is the selling going to last?
Yeah, absolutely. So I certainly cannot confirm as to how long the selling is going to last, but I can tell you a little bit about how we're thinking about this from a philosophical perspective and strategic perspective. So we obviously can't control the macro economy, but the one thing that we can control is how we manage our balance sheet and how we manage our treasury.
Okay.
And so we have been intentional and strategic in pursuing our HODL strategy by building obviously a large unencumbered stack. And we're very bullish on Bitcoin. We believe in the asset class. We believe in this new financial paradigm, okay? But thanks to our ability of building this unencumbered stack, we afforded ourselves the optionality to strategically use a portion of it to cover operating expenses instead of having to seek financing options with less attractive terms.
Yeah.
Now, we saw what happened with our competitors in 2022. A lot of people lost their shirt from being, in a plethora of different reasons. And so we are looking at this as a strategic value add to Hut, the transformation of Hut's business, and ultimately creation of shareholder value. So, that's sort of the most I can say about this. I can tell you, though, that we are still bullish on Bitcoin. We still have a lot of ideas for what we would potentially do with the remainder of our stack. We love the idea that in 2022, we were earning yield and putting that stack to work. None of our interest in that strategy has changed. This is just something that we're doing right now with the intention of, again, shareholder value creation. So.
Okay. And can you share the number of Bitcoin, or have you made any initial sales or anything?
We haven't disclosed that yet, but we will certainly let you
Okay.
guys know in our monthly production updates.
Sure. Yeah, and I saw the one for January. I think you mined 118 Bitcoin or something, and I think it mentioned that you were going to sell those Bitcoin.
Yes, yeah. So we did signal that we would sell those.
Okay. And now the next question, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit for this one, Sue. So obviously the Reddit forums and Yahoo and everything have been lighting up with this merger news. A lot of controversy. The share price has dipped quite a bit since the announcement, but realistically, if you look at Bitcoin and some of the other miners, it's in line. What are people missing? From the comments that I read, there's some confusion about what a share consolidation means, why we would partner equal values here, how it's going to work on an equity standpoint with people invested in US Bitcoin. Can you clarify, like, what are people missing here that's maybe driving some of that confusion?
Yeah, so I think what some people might be missing is the real difference between dilution versus consolidation.
Okay.
So let's just maybe walk through like some of the actual dynamics here. And again, just to reiterate, there is some more information available on Edgar in our S4 filing. We also have a link on our website that has the S4, that has an FAQ that talks about the consolidation versus dilution. So I'm just going to quickly go over the two definitions as corporate finance of share consolidation versus dilution. So HUT has proposed a share consolidation for 5-to-1. Okay, and so share consolidation, also known as a reverse stock split, divides the total quantity of shares by a number such as 5 or 10. In HUT's case, it's 5. Reduces the total numbers of shares outstanding by combining multiple shares into one share. So if you have 5 shares of HUT, you're now going to have those 5 are now going to equal 1. So this process decreases the total number of shares outstanding of a company, but should proportionally increase the value of each share following the consolidation. So for example, 2-for-1 share consolidation means you have the number of outstanding shares of a company, but this should result in a doubling of the value of the shares, okay? Versus dilution, on the other hand, refers to just an increase in the number of shares outstanding of a company, which in turn greatly reduces the value of the shares. So those are two very different things. And I think maybe, I think there was some sort of misunderstanding as to the difference between those two corporate finance definitions. But also, let's go into a little.
I'll maybe add there, Sue, because we get a lot of, anytime there's a stock split or a reverse split or anything on companies, there's always questions. So the two things I'd add there is everybody's shares are proportionally changed, whether it's up or down, and the percentage of the company that you own doesn't change. So whether you're saying you own a half of the company or 2/4 or 4/8 or whatever fraction you're using, the percentage of ownership doesn't change. And that's one question I saw in a lot of the forums saying, oh, I'm getting ripped off, I get less shares. No, you don't. You get fewer shares worth more, and your equity in the company stays the same. So just to call that out, because I definitely saw a lot of comments about that. But thanks for the clarification there, Sue, and just explaining that in a little bit more detail.
Okay, guys, let's walk through this. So prior to this merge, HUT 8 has over 221 fully diluted in the money shares outstanding. And we're doing an exchange ratio for the new HUT 8 of 0.2. US Bitcoin Corp has capital stock outstanding fully diluted in the money shares outstanding of 65 million. And so their exchange ratio with the new HUT 8 is 0.67. And this is so we can have a merger of 50% HUT ownership, 50% US Bitcoin Corp ownership. So the new HUT 8 shares outstanding for current HUT 8 shareholders is going to be 44,231,514 following the transaction. And then the new HUT 8 shares outstanding following the transaction for US Bitcoin Corp is going to be the same amount. So as you can see from the above calculation, the number of outstanding shares of new HUT 8 following the completion of the transaction will be approximately 88 million. That means each current shareholder of HUT 8 is going to hold fewer shares following the transaction than they did immediately prior to the closing, but the value of each share of new Hut 8 is going to be expected to be worth proportionately more.
Yeah, and I saw in your video with Zach Hartley, I would encourage you guys to go watch that one too. That was the key reason for this share consolidation, was to match up the number of shares in each company. So if people are wondering, well, why do they need to consolidate shares? It's to get both of them at 44 million, so it's 50-50. And I know we can't get into price predictions and stuff, Sue, but if you're saying there's 88 million shares on a fully diluted basis, I think the projected market cap was close to $1 billion or 990 or something. You guys can do the math for yourself and figure out what those shares may be worth at that time. But yeah, I think that's fair to say. Hey, Sue?
Yeah, so look, it's also just another step in our journey to becoming a more diversified, resilient, and stronger business.
Yeah.
So this is again in the benefit of creating, or for the purpose of creating shareholder value and a stronger business for the new Hut 8.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thank you for going through that. And I know that was a source of confusion. Hopefully that clears it up. If you guys do have any other questions, let me know, and I'll be sure to put the visual that kind of shows the share breakdown in the video here for you. Now, moving on to kind of, I want to talk about the North Bay site in a second here, but one viewer question that came up, kind of controversial, is they've heard some rumors that the New York campus for US Bitcoin has received some noise complaints and potential legal issues. Is there any merit to that, or have you heard anything there? Can comment on that, Sue?
Yeah, so I can't really comment on anything other than I can certainly say that we have built relationships in all the jurisdictions where we operate, and that we do have contingency plans in place for, we're very strategic in terms of how we manage our operations. I can't really comment on it, but I can tell you that, the site is up and it's hashing, and, we'll keep you guys posted.
Okay, sounds good. And next one, again, viewer question, not sure how much color you can give. Can you speak to their debt obligations? I know it was mentioned that some of the Bitcoin being sold is going to service some debt, I believe, moving into the merger. Can you give us any indication of their debt load pre-merger for US Bitcoin?
You know what? Go to the S4.
Okay.
I can't really talk about it on the thing. Just take a look at the filings. And again, all publicly available information will be on Edgar. So
Okay.
just take a look at the S4. And then hopefully in a post-merger world, I can come back on and we can get into the nitty-gritty. It's just we got to wait until then.
Yeah, totally understandable. And when is the merger expected to go through?
Well, if, again, it's pending shareholder approval, pending regulatory approval, we are hoping for some time in Q2.
Okay, great. And then the last question I had on script here, feel free to add anything you want, Sue, is in relation to your North Bay site. I know that's going through litigation right now, so again, it's kind of tight-lipped, but as of right now, that site is shut down. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that site has not been included in any of our calculations with respect to this proposed merger.
Oh, great.
So that
Okay.
825 megawatts of energy under management in a post-merger world does not include the North Bay site.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for clarifying. All right, so I'll kick it back to you then, Sue. Is there anything additional you'd like to bring up? Anything maybe that we haven't touched on in relation to the merger that you think's relevant, or you want viewers to know about?
I think, we covered some of the basics, but I just want to close with, we are incredibly excited about this. Also, again, my DMs on Twitter are always open. Happy to chat with you guys again, and happy to be back on once we have more financial information that's available and we can go through it together.
Yeah, great. And I'll make sure to keep note of any questions that come up in the meantime. I know it's kind of a difficult rock and a hard place, right? We want to get as much information out, but you also don't want to jeopardize anything with the deal. So that's totally understandable. Sue, thanks so much for being here with us today. Again, I'll leave a link to the company website in the video description below, and you can go in and take a look at some of those merger documents. If you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And feel free to leave a comment in the section below if there's anything you want addressed in our next update. Sue, thanks so much for being with us here today, and I'll throw up that visual on the screen right now for everyone.
Thanks so much for having me. See you. Talk to you soon.
Take care.